Welcome to Talk Cardboard to Me, episode number 5, where we talk about cardboard and read out your comments. Now, actually, what I really enjoyed about the previous episode is just how much interaction you guys have in the comments. So I think we're going to do the comment section every episode if we can. And just for that, we set up a new hashtag called Ask Cardboard. Today we're going to talk about unplayable games, something we see less and less of each year as the industry becomes bigger and the games become more streamlined. I have to admit, there's a certain fascination for unplayable games for whatever reason they are unplayable, and actually there's quite a few of them. I think the number one reason a game is unplayable is because it's just badly made, really, and there's quite a few of those. I remember, actually I don't have to remember, I still see a copy of Warriors and Traders at work almost every day when I go into work, because we have one on the shelves and no one's ever bought it, because whilst the game looks incredibly pretty and there's a double-sided board and you know there's all the wooden pieces and the world map looks beautiful, it's just the rules are so shoddy you can't even complete a game, and that's a terrible shame when that happens. But actually there are a few unplayable games that are not unplayable because the rules aren't very good. It's because it's just the way they're made. Like if you look at Twilight Imperium 3, which I love, but you know, throughout my 10 years of tabletop gaming or so, probably more than 10 actually by now, I've played it 4 times, and it's just because of how long a game takes and how hard it is to get people together to the table. And there's been less and less of these because I think publishers are less and less willing to take on these big mammoth projects that, you know, you dream up in your garage and go, I know this is the game I want to make. And I think one of my favorite games, and I think we've done a review of this already and I mentioned this before, is Promethean the Created, which is a role-playing game, and it is unplayable just because how hard it is to craft a story with characters gelling together and everything working really well. So I'd like to hear from you guys about your unplayable games, you know, whether they've been unplayable because the rules are so bad, or because they've been so long, or because they're convoluted, or just hard to get together. You know, I want to hear your stories because I think there are quite a few interesting tales there. Today we're going to be reading out comments from episode number 4, where we talked about rule books, good rule books, bad rule books, whether they're going to stop you from buying a game if the rule book is bad. And if you want your comment to be featured in one of these videos, then all you have to do is tweet at us using the hashtag AskCardboard, or just leave the comment on YouTube or Board Game Geek. Headless YouTuber says, I grew enjoying full rulebooks for my video games. Temple of Elemental Evil came with a great chocolate chip cookie recipe at the back of it. And Board Games Wizards and Avalon Hill bookcase game was my favorite. I despise a poorly constructed rulebook, and if a company can't spend the time to make a proper rulebook, why should I take the time to play it? Just my 2 cents since you asked. Also, the weather you're suffering through reminds me of living in North Yorkshire. Great videos, please keep it up. It's not great, is it? I mean, I love Temple of Elemental Evil, and there's something to be said actually about that game, considering this episode and unplayable games. And even though it was a video game, I felt like it was one of those games that was unplayable, just because of, you know, the ideas they had in it were absolutely cool, but my god, I did struggle to play it. But the cookie recipe, yeah, that's a nice touch. Nonny or Johnny says, hey, to be fair, how a rulebook is laid out and such is seen, by me at least, as more of a technical thing, like the graphics of a video game, than as part of the game itself. So that's probably why a good or bad rulebook doesn't factor in if players want to play the game. They're probably determined enough to bash through badly worded rules. That's true! I am certainly sometimes willing to bash through bad rules, but I have to say, the more and more games I play, the less and less I feel willing to do that, because it feels like at a time you feel really passionate about games. You feel like, yeah, I want to support this hobby and I want to support these people that make these cool contraptions, but eventually you do get a little bit jaded once you've played enough, and you do start feeling like, look, these people that make these games, they've been making them for a while, and it feels like they don't have as much respect for me as a consumer as they should. Jaren Basewinger says, I am definitely in the vast minority of gamers. I know that reads rulebooks in advance of a purchase. I tend to not do that personally, actually. I find rulebooks convoluting enough as it is, and I want to put it as far away as possible. The rulebooks are a procrastinating tool for me. I think most folks these days go solely by reviews, which typically cover the rules pretty well. Rodney Smith for the win. I agree, Rodney Smith for the win. Glenn Wilfong says, Munchkin was my first newish game and nearly my last. Ooh. The rulebook was so bad that I think I lost friendships over trying to interpret it. See, that's a good point actually, because maybe we shouldn't get people into this hobby via Munchkin, because they'll start hating board games. Fast forward a few years and I delved in again with big and meaty Mage Knight. That is big and meaty. This has so many rules to cover it. Should have had me running for the hills, but the layout and the way it orientated you to the game mechanics was so spot on. I found myself reading and rereading the booklets because I couldn't believe how something so complicated could make so much sense. Now, do I buy a game because of the rulebook? Nope. Usually I buy because of multiple recommendations from reviewers like yourself. But if I love a game, it's usually because I get enjoyment from every piece in the box, including the stapled bits. Now, that's an endorsement for Paul Grogan, if there ever was one, because I imagine he was involved in the Mage Knight rulebook, and if he wasn't, he'll correct me in the comments, I'm pretty sure. Having said that, I feel like this is yet another reason why I should try Mage Knight, and I still feel really embarrassed that I haven't. Paul, can you get them to send me a copy by any chance? John Smales, or Smalls, I don't know, says, I truly value your insightful comments and game reviews. Thank you! I knew I was insightful. Madness in great ones must not unwatched go. Shakespeare. I didn't know Shakespeare wrote about me. Nothing kills a game purchase for me faster than a bad rulebook, period. Granted, any first edition will have some sort of errata, but the rules are at the heart of the beast, and any game company who eschews playtesting, formatting, composition, and proofreading of a rules set is still living in the 70s. A 9-year-old and his computer can start an information fire that can burn a game's market value to fading embers. My still entering copy of Kill Shakespeare is a testament to this. Make me an offer. I won't. I must end for now. I hear his key in the lock of my chamber door, and he will want to speak of his voyage to England so far away from his beloved Carpathian mountains. Adieu. Well, that was a very Cthulhu-esque comment. Thank you very much for that. I very much enjoyed reading it. But you were right. I feel like we do live in the 21st century, do we? I think we do. And information is key, and it's so easy to share information, and more things like quality matter, because people do notice that, and that's what people tend to talk about. Sometimes, I know every company is very profit orientated because it's just what's needed to survive in this industry, but sometimes we do have to think about our consumers and what they think. So until next time, talk cardboard to me. This is Nescafe Instant Gold. I don't know what it is about these videos, but it's just, for some reason I end up with pretty shitty coffee. So subscribe, and hopefully next time I'll actually have a cup of something that's pretty decent. And for now, I just kind of want to say I really enjoy making these videos, and even though they're getting less views than our reviews, but the interaction I get from them is really cool. So please keep subscribing and watching and liking, and I'll keep making them.